a different process for what I get to do versus traditional therapies is when they want to talk about those high details about awkward, uncomfortable, bad spots in life. I tell people, tell me nothing. Tell me literally nothing about your life. If you're willing to tell me nothing, I'll work with you. And they take like, this is ridiculous. Okay, I'll tell you nothing about me. If you can help me, I'll help you out that much. I just said, all you got to do is be willing to tell me what emotions you feel. But don't tell me any details. Give me no context. Nothing. Yeah. And once you give them that freedom, they actually hit a spot where they're like, wow, okay. And I just say, well, about how old were you? Nothing. Dead air. And like, okay, what emotions did you feel at the time? I know not where you are, how old you are, who you're talking to. What emotion did you feel at that time? But tell me nothing. And they're like, well, I was really scared. And I'm like, okay, well, don't tell me anything.
You're like, yes, now we can work on this.
Don't tell me anything. Don't mess up. Don't tell me anything. Yeah. And what I find is people with lots of anxiety or depression, what they do is they start to shrink their world down a lot. And that gives an illusion of safety.
Welcome everyone back to the Quiet Riot Show. It's been just the two of us for a while now.
Not that long.
I think two
John
or three.
John was on a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, he doesn't really count as a guest.
Oh, okay.
He's gonna love it.
Right.
He's a plumber, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But yeah, no, we actually have a guest here today, so I'll just jump right into that. So today we have a friend of mine here in the studio, Darcy Kernaghan. We play hockey together, and that's how I got to meet you. Friday night hockeys, and I think it's been like after like 2 or 3 years, I found out that what you do for a living. I was like, holy shit! Like that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Never came up.
We never really talked about
we seem to have enough separation on there. There's so many people that everyone just talks about the now of how the game was.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and when we go upstairs for beers, like again, like we have like multiple tables together, so you don't always sit across the same people.
You don't end up in a one-on-one.
Not very often. So I guess it just came up one day. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me here. I think this is really great. I love you guys. Work in this area. This is just fantastic.
It's men's mental health is very important. Overall, mental health has been talked about more and more, but I think there's a lack of men's mental health, and it's
getting there.
It's getting there now.
I think it's getting better all the time.
For sure.
I do feel that. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because we do the show. And I talk
about
it a lot. But
we take credit for it.
It's because of me.
But it's I don't think it's not talked about often enough, and even if it is, there's still that stigma that's attached to it a little bit.
Yeah.
And so why don't you tell us what you do for a living?
Sure. So what I do is I do hypnotherapy. That is where I spend most of my days doing hypnotherapy. I use hypnosis to help people overcome anxiety, trauma, and depression, or sometimes people just feel really, really stuck in life.
Mm-hmm.
So through hypnosis, not sure which way I want to answer this here. There's so many different ways to help people out. What I do is I put everyone into hypnosis, which is actually pretty effortless. Anyone go into hypnosis. People do that all the time for themselves. People don't even know they go into hypnosis. Probably some of the earliest times you'll notice it is if you're driving across the city or down the countryside where that 1 hour ride just disappears down to almost nothing at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you're not paying attention, but you're just on autopilot.
Yeah.
And that's what people do. Actually, their conscious mind is a lot more autopilot than their unconscious. And that's what I work with people in. I steer people into that unconscious through hypnosis.
Yeah.
So that's where it gets to be really, really interesting, is to figure out the programming people keep inside themselves through hypnosis.
That's so funny that you say, the drive just kind of disappears, because there's so many times where, I get up super early in the morning to drive to work. So, I drive at 4 a.m. There's no traffic. Only thing I really have to pay attention to is street lights and or intersection lights. And then there's times where I drove by, I'm like, did I just run a red light? Or I did not remember whether it was red or green light, because I was just on autopilot, just go. And that's so interesting that you say that.
So are we just getting into questions?
Sure.
I'd like to, but let's do a check-in.
Sure.
Let's do our usual check-in, and then we'll get to it.
You go first.
Okay, I am a 9.
Fuck you.
If we had recorded yesterday, I would have been a 5.
Okay.
But I had 3 nights of like really short sleeps and like not necessarily good quality sleeps. And so last night I finished doing some work on the couch, and we had some had supper, and I sat back on the couch, and my family told me this morning that we tried to get you up, but you were dead.
Just
like,
done,
I was just out cold, and I woke up at like 1 a.m. I was up for a couple hours, and then I passed out again. I had to start work late today. I didn't start until like 8 o'clock, so it was just really nice that I'm like, I feel so rested, and this is what it feels like to get a full night sleep, because I slept from like 7 to 1, and then from 3 a.m. till 7:30.
That's pretty good.
Like that's
a lot of sleep for you.
That was a lot of sleep, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so I just feel refreshed, and today I didn't take my ADHD pill or nothing, and like I felt focused all day, and I had a very busy day actually, but it was it's been a great day today, so I'm feeling very positive and
nice.
At 9, yeah.
That's awesome.
How about yourself?
Probably like a 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dropped a little again since last.
Just I don't know. Everything's fucking busy, and I'm not sleeping good.
Yeah.
That's never
Yeah,
good
you've been
for
at
anybody.
it now for a while, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's compounding and just piling up, and like I don't know when that's going to stop.
Sounds like you need a weekend at a cabin or something.
Oh my goodness, yeah. No shit.
Yeah.
Sounds lovely.
Soon. Let's plan it soon.
Yeah, maybe my birthday or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's coming up. So,
all right.
Darcy,
how about you?
Well, as you're saying about a 9 and about a 4, I was curious about is it happy or sad or just messed up. So now I got a bit of context. So that's probably a little bit better for me.
Kind of all rolls into the same thing.
Probably for myself today, I wouldn't want to say much more than a 4 today.
Okay.
Which really isn't my normal.
Okay.
And just having various challenges going on in life right now, and those various challenges are they're weighing on me a lot, which I normally don't have to deal with. So just dealing with some family issues right now, just in my parents' health is pretty rotten currently.
Yeah.
And has taken recent turns in a worse way pretty significantly. And then just had some odd work challenges today, which were out of my control, but now I'll have to...
well, you had me today as a client, so we can talk about it. I probably brought it down.
He was a 9 before you showed up.
Oh, no. Actually, if you want me to perk up, I talk about clients all day.
I'm just kidding.
That's my favorite thing. That's my favorite thing in the world is actually to see people.
Yeah.
Just had work, just building challenges where the building wasn't working quite properly, and we're debating on who's going to get stuck with the bill.
Oh,
yeah.
Fun.
So...
That's the joy of owning a business, right?
Yeah, so that's where we are. So lots of challenges in there, but normally if you get to meet me, I'm probably sitting somewhere like a 7 or 8 is probably my standard.
Okay.
So,
nice.
Yeah, because really, we do a lot of stuff. I work with mental health, emotions. That's my industry.
Yeah.
So my favorite thing is if I get a chance to meet someone, especially someone brand new, it's just fascinating. I just love to hear how people think. And everyone's unique, but what's not unique is seeing where people start from. Everyone starts off from a similar spot.
Yeah.
And just seeing what things they've endured and experienced in life. And sometimes just experience actually just steers their brain into a certain way. So when you start to do that, you really get to hear how people think. And when you see how people think at a young age, you can almost predict what kind of profession they have, what kind of lifestyle they have, and how they enjoy the relationships within their life.
There's lots of common denominators through that process that you could sort of weigh in on people pretty quickly or get a gauge on them quickly. Everyone's unique, but there's a certain set of sort of, this is what your youth was like. Okay, well, then it makes sense that you do this or like you would be able to unpack the human experience better than we would. Other than we live it, but outside of our own. So
usually where I like to go with, depending which way we want to go on it, usually I always say, if you think about the 5 most impactful days of your life, that might have been challenging. That's usually, I usually say it's about 5 to 8, but if you get to 5, that's impressive. But if you actually get to 1, if you actually think of one day you found incredibly impactful on your life, that might have been negative. And where I always start off with is, what emotions do you feel in that? And if you want to create anxiety or depression in a person, or disassemble it, it's quite similar. We aim for disassembling, is we figure out what that is and what emotion's present. So you say, what's that event that caused you so much stress? I know an easy one for me I've often talked about. I do groups on hypnosis for anxiety, doing public speaking. I think a lot of people are worried about that. And for me, I'm no exception. I don't know about you guys. I was the quietest kid in my class by a lot. And in doing that, doing public speaking, you couldn't think of a much worse thing to make someone like me do.
Yeah.
And I know that's where I just recall. I remember a time in school. It probably would have been about grade 7 or 8. I was a pretty young guy then. And I just remember the teacher. No, it would have been grade 9. Sorry. And in that time frame, I just knew how terrible it was going to be. So the night before, I was just nauseous, worried about it. And then as the class came around, the teacher could see I was just writhing in my desk, just dreading my turn as my turn actually came around. And as I went up there, I did like any speaker would. I grabbed on the podium as tight as I could, looked at my paper, didn't blink, and talked as fast as I could, and quiet. Yeah. And right after I was done, I went back to my desk, and I was about darn near hyperventilating. Yeah. And as I sat there, the teacher looked at me, and he's like, "So how do you feel now that you're done?" And I'm like, "I feel horrible. When's this get better?"
So would you say that like I would view that as like pushing out of your comfort zone, and I would rarely view doing that as a bad thing. Would you view that differently?
Back then it was. I don't know how it would have been actually remedied back then. I think a little more exposure or working up to it.
Okay.
But I think the concept is that most people would get comfortable with exposure. I don't get comfortable with exposure, but people with a lot of anxiety, they don't get comfortable with exposure. They actually have to get a new thinking process to go through.
Okay.
So we're actually developed my ability to actually, public speaking is my favorite thing now, which is ridiculous. And and
was that a long journey? Is it a continuous journey, or was that a long journey to go on to get to that point?
Changing my mental point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it was. So I got lucky enough. I've got to do best man for 2 different weddings. And the second one's where I really got a little bit more smart in my head anyways. And what I decided is, instead of being nervous and talking in front of a whole lot of people, instead of talking just to my best friend, I just said, I'm only going to talk about stuff I know and nothing else. And if I talk about stuff I know, then I must be able to do good what I do, because then I'm not going to be lying, and whatever I trip on, people will tolerate. So as I went through that, by the time I was done, I felt such an endorphin rush of just, this was really fun. I actually had 150 people staring at me talking about something I know about. So I'm like, this felt really, really good. So that's where I actually hit that mindset of, as long as I talk about stuff I know, I'm doing really good.
Yeah.
And I thought,
because you don't have the part where you have to learn something actually to talk about something. But if it comes naturally, then you're not worried about that part. Now we can maybe focus on the fact that 150 people are looking at you and how to just shut it down, right?
Yeah. I just said, there's nothing to worry about. Yeah. I'm only talking about what I know. Yeah. So it doesn't matter how big the group would be, as long as I talk about the things that I know. Yeah. Okay. So, you know what I thought was interesting? I taught a workshop on hypnosis. I'm an instructor of hypnosis now as well, which is a bit newer to me. And before I did it for the first time, I thought, I want to make sure I don't get myself tongue-tied, because I'll be talking for 40 hours straight. Yeah. And I went to Toastmasters. I don't know if you guys have tried Toastmasters or not.
I do it every Wednesday.
He does it, yeah. I've never done it, but Tommy does.
It's fun.
I don't struggle with public speaking.
No, you're good, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I can talk to anybody or any number of people.
You can talk to a wall and sell something to that wall,
I could sell the wall its paint.
Oh, God. But you'll probably know then, Tommy. When you go there, there's some people that have prepared speeches to talk. Yeah. And there's going to be some people, when they go up there, like, talking about a random topic, and here you go.
Actually, so that, to me, that is the best part. Like, it's called table topics. So we have a table topic master, and then you don't know what they're going to ask you. and sometimes you don't even know that you're gonna get asked. They'll be like, talk about what would you do if you had $1 million? Go, Tim. And then, like, oh shit, okay, so now you got to get up and start talking for 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, okay.
And then they evaluate you, like, did you stay on topic? Did you make eye contact? And things like that. So off the cuff speaking is what I wanted to improve on. And it's fun, yeah, but we don't get to do it as often as I would like to. So
no, but I mean, we do. That's kind of the root of how you do end up doing this.
Yeah,
like the way we do it, because we do like free form conversation.
Yeah, we have
not
no
like
questions prepared or
planned
nothing.
Question and answer or anything like that. So
the only discussions like we had today, like Tim was like, "Hey, so who do we have guests?" I'm like, "Oh, it's my buddy, and he's a hypnotist." Oh, okay, cool. That's about it. Yeah,
that was more about curiosity than anything else.
That's not really a prep.
I didn't prepare. I didn't pre-think of questions to ask either. Like I don't know. I've never written a speech.
Okay.
I've made notes of things I want to cover while I'm talking, but I've never actually
just
written
points,
out like my speech.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I find it interesting how many actors do so much improvisational work and how they could actually follow a script and actually do it well.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I just think it'd be very wild just to see if I can actually follow a script word for word, because that desire just to ad lib and just say, this is what I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
Well, and to take that script and like communicate it in a way that it feels natural and it feels like you're putting the emphasis where it needs and it feels like you're speaking truth naturally.
Yeah.
But still reading exactly what's there. I think that would be the hardest. And it kind of goes back to a little bit of what you said, where it's like, if you talk about something you probably won't fuck it up.
That's right.
It's more challenging
to fuck it up.
It is.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And even if you make a mistake, well, it's okay. Like you can kind of correct it easier, and everyone can kind of tolerate it.
I also think it's really hard to fake being interesting.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you can do that.
Yeah. Some people try it and then they become boring.
Yeah.
Well, it's just inauthenticity when you start to do that. So when you talk to people that are being inauthentic, it really shows pretty easy. So when you're actually having a quality conversation with whomever you're talking to, when you're taking an active interest into them, you can usually just watch them. For myself, I always take an active interest when people talk, and some of the best ways you can tell if someone's listening to you is I do a lot of neurolinguistics with people when they don't even realize it. And the neurolinguistics is just studying body languages in many different levels.
Okay.
So when I'm working with clients, I'm deeply staring. I need to change my word from staring. Another word will come to me in a moment. Observing. That's a nicer word. I'm observing how a person sits, talks, their breathing pace, and their language they're picking between. Because when you start to do that, then you'll actually start to hear them talk a little bit better. When you actually fixate on those things, focus on those things. And so when you start to hear people talk, when I think of a deep interest in them, that's how you can actually get them to become more open.
Now, let's relate that to hypnosis.
That's right. When
someone's in a state, maybe explain, like you talked about autopilot, but like what happens to a person?
Oh, inside their brain.
What happens inside their brain when you facilitate putting them into hypnosis? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
That's a good question. So I always just sort of say hypnosis, everyone can be hypnosis. There's sort of 3 levels of hypnosis. And they're sort of like a deep, light, and mid-hypnosis. And deep hypnosis, that's the one most people are familiar with. That's more for comedians that are up on a stage, which is hilarious. I don't do it, but it's hilarious.
We had a guy on the show who does that for a living. Yeah.
Oh, man. I know. One day I might dabble with it, but right now it's not really my spot. And what they do is they tell you what to say, think, and feel, and they put a good, funny twist on it. But to do something for your own mental health, you could do it, but you'd only feel that way just for a while you're in that trance. Then you bounce back out of it. And in reality, it only works on 1 in 10 people. So on that 1 in 10 success rate, if you ever see it live in person, they'll fill the stage up with everyone willing to go. 9 out of 10 go back to their chairs. And then that's the light and mid hypnosis people. Light hypnosis, you'll be just feeling like you're just totally relaxed. You'll be sitting back in your chair. I'll just tell you to have your eyes closed. They'll be able to tell if I'm taking a drink of water, coffee, or if I'm jiggling in my chair a little bit. They'll totally hear that. And mid-hypnosis is just somewhere in between. So it's really just a state of relaxation. It's not a magical spell. I don't cast magical spells. If it is, it'll be in the newsletter. But that's where, for myself, that's where I help people to go to, is just to that relaxed state. So their body's just in a relaxed and open state, just turning off their conscious mind so they can really start to see what's going on inside their brain. And then
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So then we just start to backdate with people the emotions you're dealing with. When you say, not to put you on the spot, but I'll put you on the spot because it entertains me.
That's what I'm here for.
Thank you. When you say you're feeling like a Ford today, what emotion is the most pressing emotion you feel? If you got to pick.
Stress.
Yeah.
That's the first one.
Yeah. Would you say you deal with things like sadness or fear?
Yeah, lots of that.
Or anxiety?
Fear
or
less.
Yeah.
Anxiety, not much.
I want to correct myself a smidge there because when you talk about stress, anxiety, and depression, those are sensations. We actually want to get to the emotions versus sensations.
Okay.
Because sensations are temporary, but they just might last for a really long time.
So when someone says they're stressed, where do you take that?
I ask what emotions within that stress.
Okay.
So you go between sadness, guilt, fear, and anger.
Okay.
And then you say, which one of those do you feel? Or is it a couple of them? Or do you say all of them? Or is there something different? Mm-hmm. So for yourself, you said sadness.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
So that's where I'd say, okay, perfect. Ish. So, yeah.
Great.
I mean, I've never had anyone say that yet. We're doing something here.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of traction there. So that means sadness is a challenge for you. And when we start talking about sadness, then I'll just say, as this was developed by a guy named Tad James, at least the process I do, but I've made a few alterations in it, who does timeline therapy. So I've edited it enough times over that I don't know if I'd officially say do his process, but I got the bones of it anyways. So when we're doing that, you just say, I'll tell you, just go into a relaxed state, close your eyes, and as you're closing your eyes, all you're going to do is I want you to go back in time. I just simply want you to go back in time to the first time you can remember feeling sadness, where that was. And as you start to do that, you're going to feel yourself just draw back, because as you close your eyes, you'll say, actually, I can remember a time, whatever that time was. And usually what we tend to find is most people do that. Most of these core events happen before you're 15 years old.
Okay.
Most of them, you're not the responsible person, but you are a participant. Mm. And as you're a participant in there, we check it out, because when your emotions show up, what makes a traumatic event traumatic? That's usually a good question to work with. What do you think makes a traumatic event traumatic?
You want me to answer?
Sure.
What makes a traumatic event traumatic? Probably your inability to control or process the situation that you're in.
Yeah, your emotions get really
past
overwhelmed. Past your threshold.
Yeah,
that's right.
Fuck, I should do this.
Yeah, you should.
No, he's hypnotizing me right now. I'm starting to think about all these things. I'm
actually, you've been barking the whole time.
You put your socks back on. So that's where we start to go with, is we check out that first time. And a lot of times, it's not even something over the top. A lot of times, what makes something traumatic is you're emotionally overwhelmed. And when someone gets emotionally overwhelmed, they just mentally check out.
Is that the body's? Is that like a fight or flight response? Is that like a safe protection response?
That's right. It's an insulator on your body. Mm. So you shut down. It's super normal, super healthy for most people. And then when you get out of the event, what happens is you're going to make decisions about yourself on how do I stay safe to avoid something like that. Mm-hmm. And sometimes might come up with something good, but a lot of people I get a chance to meet dealing with anxiety and depression or stress, they make some pretty strong limitations on themselves. If a person had a fear of swimming, if they had like a near drowning experience, they get out of the water and they're like, I'm never ever going to swim again. Very effective against drowning. But what happens is that you actually instilled fear in yourself, saying, I accept fear in me, as long as I don't go close to water, but that dire, deep fear, it weighs on you. And then you're going to start to get to a spot where you apply it to other spots that aren't actually related to swimming, because it's just on deck all the time.
Okay.
So for yourself, when you start to back check yourself, not saying you got to tell me anything about what you're thinking, think back of when sadness first started for you, the earliest possible event. Just imagine it in your head. Whenever that could be. And then I just tell people, I want you to picture yourself floating all the way up above that event. And as you're floating above that event, what are you learning about yourself as you're experiencing that much sadness? How long you're required to feel that much sadness for? What might you even need to learn in order to release the sadness you're experiencing at that time? And as you feel that, as you think that, your mind's already thinking. You're putting your eyes going off to the left, which means you're an audio person. You're actually doing audio or not recollect. Oh, God. Audio recall.
Okay.
And that's because you hear things, you're much more of a sound-like person. And a sound-like person, they usually hear things all by sound. So when you listen to your vocabulary, you'll start to hear the way you talk. And
okay.
I'll be listening to the way you talk. So that's something I'd be picking up on right away, or I did pick up on right away. And that's when you start to say, well, I can hear what you're talking about. And what other sounds are you hearing at that time? And when you start to say that, you'll start to associate yourself deeper into that event. So I have a person just portray themselves just as if they could float above the event like a bird just floating above that event. And as they're doing that, looking down, what information do you need to hear? Because through hypnosis, I don't tell people what to think.
Okay.
I tell people, what do you have to learn? And when you actually take away their filters of what's causing them all this pain, they'll be like, actually, to release that sadness, because you have to make sure you don't say it's because of something someone else did. You have to say within yourself, what do I have to empower myself with to be able to release that sadness? For myself, and I'm saying, how do I release fear of talking in front of people? How did the fear make me a better public speaker?
Now, how do you... So you're saying it's likely that event was prior to 15 years old?
Most likely.
So, like, if you're talking to someone who's 40...
Yeah.
Like, they've got upwards of 35 years plus.
Totally.
Or 30 years or whatever, of that protective mechanism, like, building itself up and up and up and up and up.
You bet.
How do you unpack that? I guess you start at the beginning. I guess that's...
Yeah, well, it's easier than that. It's easier than that because you say the word. The word is actually subsequent events. Okay. You made yourself vulnerable. Me being a quiet person, every time someone used to yell at me as a kid, I used to cry. That used to be my reflex. Just don't yell at me. But there's that part where that fear was there. Is what would happen if someone yelled at me and I'd know I'd cry. That was just too overwhelming. It took me forever to get past that as an adult. I got to a spot where I just avoided talking to loud people because it was too scary. But that wasn't good enough to actually have a quality life. So there's a spot where I'm like, because I actually learned about this when I used to deal with a lot of anxiety myself. And just learning about how to actually talk to people like that, learning how people behave. And then I remember I used to talk to this one fellow at work where he was a big learning curve for me, or he was very loud. He's a retired Army drill sergeant, and so he's probably louder than most. And for an introvert, that was a world apart from me. He was loud, he swore, and all these things that weren't really me.
Yeah.
And then I just started talking to him, and it was a great expression for me to say, I can talk to him. So all I had to do was start to mirror the languages that he would use. So I would constantly just swear more when I talked to him.
Yeah, okay.
I would constantly use much more adjectives. That's what I'll use. More of the adjectives that he uses.
Yeah.
And then I was able to disarm the intensity of it, so it wasn't actually a scary spot anymore, because fear didn't make me a better communicator with him, because I had to talk to him at work.
Yeah.
And when you started to talk to him like that, then you start to finally feel a bit more relaxed. You can hear the essence of a person talking.
And did you feel authentic in those conversations, or while you went through that process of learning how to communicate with that? Use him as an example.
Yeah. I thought it was very authentic, because I wanted to have a deep conversation with the person that I found intimidating. So I got to get my point across. I just had to use some of his words, not changing the way I feel, but I had to use some of his words. So I just had to, when I talked to him, I just had to talk loud and aggressive.
Yeah.
And still saying the things I had to get across to him, because we worked different departments, but he was a manager there and I was a manager in my department. So I just had to actually, if I wanted to talk to him and have him respect me, I had to talk loudly.
Yep.
But yet I still had to say what I had to say and get the information I needed.
Yeah. Well, I've always, like, I relate a lot of that to sales. Like, I'm in sales and marketing, and so the salesman who can genuinely communicate with all different types of people the way they want to be communicated with is usually the most successful. Yeah. But you have to do it authentically. And so at times it feels like you're being fake, but then you learn that, no, I can be myself, kind of what you said, like, I can be myself, I can use my true intent behind this, I can communicate that just differently, and it doesn't make it bad or false or bullshit. You just learn how to...
You kind of match their level, right?
The person who's the most capable of moving in and out of different ways of communication with people, to me, has always been the most successful in it.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, I want to just go back a little bit about, because you've asked about, like, hey, so if this is an emotion from when you were 15 years or younger, and now at our age, like, how do you find that? So I had a session with Darcy this afternoon.
Yeah.
And we had a nice conversation beforehand and before the hypnosis, and I had no idea where this session's gonna go, how it's gonna go, and what moment I'm gonna pick. And I was actually so confused because I had multiple moments that were that I was resonating the fear with, and it was all going back to like time when I was a teenager and had issues or altercations with my mom, and just a lot of there was lots of yelling, and so I couldn't really say what I wanted to say to my mom, and so like I feel like my whole fear that I'm dealing with today went back to like that time.
Yeah, okay.
Which is like it just happened. Like it's such an interesting state because my first session I felt more physical things where like I felt like my arms I couldn't lift my arms at all, and but then I'm like, okay, my nose is really itchy, and I was just like, then I just did it so easily. But just the whole feeling of relaxed, like my body was really just dead weight at that point. And so I guess with that, the body relaxed, the mind just goes wherever. It was interesting. This episode is brought to you by OK John Metal Detectors, a proud sponsor of the Quiet Riot Show and celebrating 50 years in business. If you've been feeling stuck in your head lately, sometimes the best thing you can do is just to get outside. Metal detecting is a simple way to unplug, clear your mind, and do something real. And OK John Metal Detectors has everything you need to get started, whether you're brand new or already into it. Fresh air, movement, and the thrill of finding something unexpected. It does more for your mental health than you think. Visit okjohnmetaldetectors.com. Find all the links below in the description.
So yeah, you talked about you saw my eyes go to the left and start obviously audible
recall,
audio recall. Is
recall,
that what you call it?
Audio recall.
So what are the other? What are the other ones? Like if there's audio recall, there must be other.
So there's visual recall, audio recall, auditory digital, and
what's that?
That's when those will be people that work a lot with they talk a lot more in sayings. They're very particular in the things that they do.
Okay.
They're very touch orientated. So they'll also be the people that really want to talk to you really close. They talk very slowly.
Oh God.
And there's everyone
touching me and being close. I'm out.
Yeah, I'll get that regularly. Every week I'll have at least somebody. And they'll talk very slowly and often very quietly because they don't want to hurt your feelings, but they want to make sure you understand how they feel. So they'll hold you as if they're almost holding you as an anchor, so you can't run away while they talk to you.
Okay.
And it's a very interesting spot. And for myself, I'm a very kinesthetic person, but I don't have to hold someone's hands. But I have to be very aware. I talk slower than most people do. Very visual people actually talk incredibly fast. They can barely get their words out quick enough. Which isn't me, but people that are very good learners, they're typically very visual, and they usually excel in school.
Okay,
that wasn't my forte. I don't have a visual memory, so I'd always work more with feelings. So I'd always learn better if I was happy.
Okay,
I'd perform better if I was happy. So that's where I used to really strive to get into. So the teachers that I got the most out of me are the ones that made me feel safe and entertained me a little bit. Those intense teachers that used to yell, I'd shut down so much there was nothing there I could possibly do. I just couldn't get out of there quick enough. So that's where I was. So I was the kinesthetic style person.
Yeah.
So usually when you watch people, you just sort of watch their eyes. If their eyes go left and right, they're typically more auditory. If they look down, they're much more kinesthetic or digital auditory. Then versus up was just your visual recall and visual construct. That's the word. So it's visual construct, visual recall, audio construct.
Okay.
And you just sort of learn how people think. It's not a hard rule. People can, if they know you're looking for it, they can control themselves a little bit. But I always make sure, as Tommy was saying, as I don't talk about people's sessions at all, but
you can talk about
there's some loose.
I'll
loosen up a little bit of stuff.
Sure, yeah.
As you say, we talk for about 20 minutes, then when we begin our session. I get in my session by the time I say hi to you in the waiting room. That's when my session begins to me. Just because I'm actually studying how a person's sitting, their body language, and how fast they talk to me, and what they do, and ask, how's your day going so far?
Yeah.
That's when the session begins to me. So people often think it doesn't start until they're 20 minutes into a session, but normally I'll have some people where they can hardly keep their eyes open because usually about 20, 25 minutes just to hear them talk, have them get their thoughts and feelings out a little bit. And then by the time we're going, everyone just really gets to a spot of being really, really relaxed. So usually I have to just do a lot of rapport building, and then by then everything's easy.
And so is that harder the first session? Like, what changes from the first session to how often do people, like, do you have people who just come every 2 weeks for 20 years? Like,
Yeah, no, I don't do that. What I often do is I just tell a person, I can get about 2 to 3 sessions out of you. I can change stuff that's been stuck for about 10 to 20 years in you in about 2 to 3 sessions. So I go to core events, which you don't even try to go to. You just get drawn to like a magnet.
Okay.
And then we actually help you with reprogramming some of your thoughts. Not that I do it. I just enable you to hear yourself think. And when you actually hear yourself think, and you actually say, actually, I don't want to think like that anymore. And then you say, well, how long do you have to feel like that? Do you deserve to be punished for your behavior? Were you really wrong in that event? Do you need to be punished longer? What would happen if you actually changed that? What's the worst that would happen if you actually changed that emotion in that event? And people get really excited. They're like, well, if I got to change it, if it was easy, I would change this. And they said, I'd let all that sadness go because it doesn't make me a better version of myself. It doesn't make me a better worker. It doesn't make me a better partner or a friend to my friends. If I could actually release that sadness, wow, I might just be happier instead. I might actually start to feel a lot more joy. And I'm like, well, what's going to happen if you start to feel joy? How would that person feel? If your coworkers, your boss, your wife, or partner, or your kids, how would they feel? Imagine your social life. What would that be like if they just said, he's just a happy person. He actually loves to have fun.
Ugh, sounds awful.
Oh, man.
That's not what I want to be around.
Oh, God, I know.
Misery loves company. Fuck that.
It does. Like a magnet. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like, and I guess I'm trying to get a grasp on like therapy, like just people that go to therapy all the time.
That's right. The gap.
Which
gap from me to them.
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah,
because there must be crossover.
There is.
I had a therapist once who told me, he said to me, if like maybe well, A, he said meditation, but B, he said hypnotherapy might be a good idea for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
I didn't do it, but he told me that.
Oh, that's good.
So there must be some kind of crossover. Maybe talk a little bit about that for those of the listeners who, or just for myself to know, which is really what I care about. But like,
we start with somewhere. It applies to everybody.
But right. But no, like, what is that crossover, and what do you see as the valuable service on both ends of that? Yeah.
So where I usually come in is when people say they're dealing with a lot of anxiety and it's been going on for quite a while. That's sort of my spot. When people are at a spot where they say, I can't function anymore like this. Those are my people.
Okay.
And what the therapists do from where I am, what they do is they want to talk about your day-to-day, what's going on in a really hard spot.
Okay.
So some people in their home life where there's a lot of abuse going on, even just mental self-abuse just at home when you're in the real deep thick of it, that's going to be their spot. And they'll give you ideas on how to cope with things like that, how to deal with abuse, addiction, and stuff like that.
Okay.
My side is people are a little bit out of that spot, and they just feel anxiety, even though they might just say, well, things are okay. I'm single, I'm married, I'm employed or I'm not employed, but they just feel so much anxious energy. So we take a look at the programming of why that's the way you are. So I just bring you back, and the therapist will talk about the tight details of what you can't process mentally. And They'll say, well, my partner said this, and this is what I said back, and then they were mad, and I was mad, and then we stormed off.
Yeah, okay.
How do I fix that?
Situational.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what they'll be doing. That's their zone. My spot will be, I want you to bring you back 20, 40 years ago. I've had even farther than that, for that matter. And have you redo an event to say, I just always feel sad. And I feel sad so often that I just assume that everyone has to feel like this. And that can't be good enough. So we'll just go back and check out the event. And how long are you required to feel sad for until it's safe to let that go? Do you own a part of being sad? Are you supposed to feel sad for your entire life? Does it make you a better person?
Probably.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tommy? How am I doing?
You're doing fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where I go. I just say, well, what if you released it? What would be the worst that would happen if you could actually release all that sadness? So I help people just to see the emotion, and they have to create their own authorization to release it.
Yeah.
And I don't talk them through that hardest part of telling them what to do for the next step. I empower them to actually say, this is what I want my next step to be.
Okay. But they would feel powerful enough in most cases to
take action
on that. That's a good
So usually after a session, I usually give most people an experiment. I always say it's great to do experiments because you can't fail an experiment unless you don't participate. So that's what I usually do, and usually one of my favorite things to do for couples. I don't always get both sides of a couple's, but I usually get 1% of a couple that might not be satisfied. And usually I'll say, if you want to actually work on it, they often say, well, I can't express my emotions to my partner, which that's not good enough. My wife's amazing. But some people don't feel that way, unfortunately. And I always just say, well, if you don't feel safe to express when you're sad or depressed or fearful, what you'll want to do is actually say, I want to express to my partner when I'm really happy.
Okay.
It's a cool experiment. Tell your partner when you're super happy. And when you're really, really happy, see how they respond to it. Do they actually encourage that behavior? And tell them, what can we do today? I'm in a great mood today. What do you want to do? I'll do anything you want to do. And see what they do, how they respond. Do they poke fun at you for being happy? Or they're like, bro, this person, you're happy today. Let's go do this. And whatever it is, you just race off and do it. And why it's really nice to do that is it's encouraging them to know that you are happy from time to time. Most people are genuinely fairly happy, but a lot of times their partners don't actually know they're happy. Their friends don't even know they're happy, but partners I usually work with a bit more. And when you actually tell them, this is how I feel, so when the days come when you're not quite as happy, when you're in a sad mood or lousy mood for that matter, they'll say, this is just temporary. This isn't always the way you feel. So they'll actually be much more resourceful because they'll just assume that's not how you're going to feel every time you're there.
So hypnotherapy doesn't always work on everybody. So if people show up there and like they don't necessarily believe in it, then there's not much you can really do with people like that. Or can you? Can you actually?
I can elaborate.
Can you go ahead?
Yeah. So I've had a few people where I found it much more challenging. Not too many. Probably the people with okay mental health I've had to work with that wanted to be hypnotized but had a hard time with. I had some stand-up comedians come to see me because they're not used to being quiet. They're used to improvising the whole time, so they didn't actually have an ability to stay quiet. Yeah. Because they were waiting. It's almost like they were waiting for a magical spell or for their spot to jump in.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing like induction, I always just count from 10 down to 1. Typically, that's the way I go. By the time I got to 1, I always say it in a relatively slow way, and it takes me a few minutes to count all the way down from 10 down to 1. But by the time I got to 1, they were just aching to say their line. Goodness sakes, come on, you're not really investing in this here. And that's all that started to show up there. But most people really will if they have a desire to actually change and grow. One of the requirements to come see me is you have to be able to sign yourself up to come and see me. My lousiest clients are typically ones where their partner or their parents force them to come see me because they got to get fixed.
Yes.
And then it's a lousy session. It never works. Just because
they don't want to be there.
They don't want to be there. They don't care about change. But when people actually say, I got a deep desire for change, it's beyond rare. I can't get someone into that state.
What about now when people have a hard time expressing their feelings? Because I know sometimes with therapy, people struggle with that, where they can't really explain what's going on, what's going on within them, and does that have an effect on hypnotherapy?
Oh yeah, that's where kind of a different process for what I get to do versus traditional therapies is when they want to talk about those high details about awkward, uncomfortable, bad spots in life. I tell people, tell me nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I actually tell them if they're really nervous, tell me literally nothing about your life. Let's just start from there. If you're willing to tell me nothing, I'll work with you. And they take they're like, this is ridiculous. Okay, I'll tell you nothing about me. If you can help me, I'll help you out that much. And I just said, all you got to do is be willing to tell me what emotions you feel. But don't tell me any details. Give me no context.
No why, where, who,
nothing.
Yeah.
And once you give them that freedom, they actually hit a spot where they're like, wow, okay, well, there might be a time where they suffered severe something back in their past. But if they don't have to tell me a single teeniest tiny detail about it, and I just say, well, about how old were you? Nothing. Dead air. And I'm like, okay, what emotions did you feel at the time? I know not where you are, how old you are, who you're talking to. What emotion did you feel at that time? But tell me nothing. And they're like, well, I was really scared. And I'm like, okay. Well, don't tell me anything.
You're like, yes, now we can work on this.
Don't tell me anything. Don't mess up. Don't tell me anything. Yeah. And how long do you have to feel like that for? Is it a requirement in your life to be like that? And they'll usually say, yeah, it is. I have to be scared. And I'm like, well, how's it working so far? And they're like, well, it's keeping me safe. And what I find is people with lots of anxiety or depression, what they do is they start to shrink their world down a lot. And that gives an illusion of safety. Mm-hmm. But I see people keep shrinking that world down more and more, and it's not one to win. But I've seen some pretty impressive small worlds in people where they can't leave their apartment. I am their exception to getting out of their apartment.
Okay. Yeah.
And they don't talk to anybody. And I know this one person I have, and they're so uncomfortable talking to literally anybody. They said their activity is they get a coffee. That's their once a day, every other day activity. They go get a coffee from a coffee shop. Yeah. And I said, do you go to a whole bunch of different ones just to change it up? And they're like, nope, same one, same time. Yeah. And I'm like, do you know the person's name that gives you your coffee yet? And they're like, no, I've never looked up yet. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I said, well, try that this time. Next time you go, see if you can just look up and learn their name. Tell me their name next time you come back. And he said he had to do it like 4 or 5 times before he was actually willing to look up and see their name. And I said, I don't even want you to say hi to them. Yeah. I just want you to learn their name. And as he did that, he was actually just tickled. He's like, I learned their name. Yeah. And he didn't know he was even capable of that. So he was all excited the next time he saw me. He's like, I learned their name. And
it's a big win. Like,
you talked about baby steps.
If you put yourself there, like, that's a big win.
That's a baby step, but it's a huge step in that person's life.
Now you're going to make me watch What About Bob when I get home.
keep bringing it up since you mentioned it.
Oh, I haven't seen that movie in forever. I forget
time to watch it.
I've never seen it, and he brought it up, so I watched it. It's awesome. Baby steps.
Yeah, so that's where I start to go with it. I just tell people that's my big gap, is letting you separate from the details. Because the details are really what makes people uncomfortable. If I told you to tell me an experience about what it's like to go on a trip, but don't tell me where, who you went with, when you went, how was the trip?
Yeah, how did it make you feel?
And was it a good trip or a bad trip? Most people are like, I won't say the word trip, but it was not bad. And just encouraging them to come along. Because the more emotionally they express themselves, then they'll start to say where their limits are, or whether it was limitless or whatever it is.
Yeah. From our first session, there was this one point where I forget now the exact question, but I think we were talking about fear as well, or that's...
Oh, it could be.
Yeah, I can't remember now exactly, but basically what you were saying, one of the questions was like, well, okay, so what happens if that fear is no longer there?
Yeah.
And how does that make you feel? And basically at the end of the session, I came out of it saying, like, telling myself that I still know that happened, but now I kind of can tackle things with thinking, I'm like, okay, I know I'm scared of it, but if I just remove that fear from it, what's going to be the outcome from that event? And it just kind of helped me a little bit deal with certain things at work, like just from our first session till today. And it's mind blowing how little work has such big effect.
Yeah, once you just take away the blockage, then you get a lot more free after that.
And like I'm not disregarding that. I still, maybe that fear is still there, but now I know how to deal with the situation easier.
Sort of the metaphor I work with that on is that trauma, you just sort of have an anchor tied to that trauma. Like you're in a boat and you got a boat full of trauma just trailing behind you. You got a rope tied to make sure it doesn't get too far away. And after our session, you can just let go of the rope and the trauma just gets farther away. It just goes from trauma just to an event you don't like. You don't forget it.
Yeah.
It still happened. I can't make you forget, which I've been asked many times to make people forget about trauma, which never works. But I've tried it once or twice, but it doesn't work for nothing.
Is it possible? Can you do that? I guess that must be possible.
You can release trauma. You can release yourself from bad events.
Yeah.
But you remember bad events that have happened.
Yeah, okay. You got to go through it. You can't go over it or under it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I remember a person that got out of a bad relationship and they drove in from somewhere far in Ontario because my name got out that far somehow. And that was their whole goal is I want to forget about my ex-partner. I can't make you forget about your ex-partner. I wish you mentioned that before you drove 6 hours to come see me. But I'm like, what if it's not a traumatic event when you think about that person? And sort of the way I often go with it is, this will be a good question. Did you marry the first person you went on a date with?
No.
How traumatizing was it to know that you didn't marry the first person you went on a date with?
Fine by me.
Yeah. And some people, that's where that trauma is. It's like, that's not a traumatic event. Unfortunately, your first date didn't work out to be the one you married. But you're like, it's okay. It didn't work out. Maybe it would have been nice. Maybe that'd make for a great story, but it didn't happen. And now that you found your right partner, you're like, yep, I remember that person. I remember their name. Might remember some parts of the date, perhaps even. But you're like, it doesn't matter. It's just a past event.
Yeah.
And that's all these crucial events in your own life will become is, I didn't like it. There was a moment in there, maybe there were parts you liked, but then it got bad. But I'm allowed to just release it and just say, that's back over there.
So do people tend to keep that, let's call it a skill or tool or whatever you want to call it, like their ability to release, let's call it trauma?
Yeah.
So that when future events happen, they have a better set of tools or they have their own skills to help manage that?
Yeah. When we go through hypnosis, they actually learn how to release it. And as it becomes more effective and really locked into their brain, they'll be like, how long do I have to feel like this for? Always important to know, is it appropriate to feel that emotion? You're supposed to feel sad when it's appropriate. You're supposed to be sad or angry when it's appropriate. And once that moment's over, you're allowed to let that emotion release and go back to your normal spot. And that's where people sometimes trip up, is they kind of get tripped up on not letting go of that emotion. And they don't know how to use those emotions properly. One of the movies I recommend all the time to everybody, not What About Bob, I recommend the movie Inside Out. It's a kid's movie.
Yeah. Oh, that movie's great.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and I like that one a lot because to start off the movie, not to wreck it for people that haven't seen it yet. Fantastic.
It's been long enough.
I think so. If you haven't seen it by now,
it's
your fault.
Yeah. All we always start to say in there is you start to see the character of sadness and going, what's their purpose? They're the party pooper in this thing here.
Yeah.
They should just get them gone. And it has a purpose. It's to help you just actually come to terms with those feelings of a hard event. One of the ones I used to always test my clients on, but since you guys are here, I'll put you on the spot because it entertains me. What's the positive purpose of anger? It's a good, solid question. What's the positive purpose of anger?
Defense.
To understand what it feels like to not be angry?
Where you actually go with it. It's kind of fun. It's to outwardly express when something's no longer acceptable. To outwardly express when something's no longer acceptable. That's when you want to use anger properly. And a lot of people mess up because they try to be tough and not express themselves until they get so worked up they're into a right frenzy, and then they just explode out onto people.
Yeah. Rage.
Rage. Yeah, let's call it rage. And that's where it's not being used properly, but used appropriately, you're supposed to do it. When you talk about fear, I don't want you living in fear every day, but when something scares you, you're supposed to react as a moment of safety.
Yeah.
You're supposed to feel guilty if you messed up and you owe someone an apology. You're supposed to. If you're immune to it, then you're probably messing up. So
You're a fucking sociopath. Then.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, there's some tricky spots there. I know. I remember that was actually that was funny. I went to Stony Mountain for a while.
Okay.
To talk to people, and
just clarify
just to put some disclaimers out here.
Listen, I'm not your judge. I don't know what you did.
It was fun. I got called out to go out there, and I thought I was going to be working with the inmates out there doing a presentation for inmates.
Okay.
I felt this bit intimidated, I'm not going to lie. And then as I got there, well, I guess the day before, then they said, well, it's for the staff. And I'm like, oh, okay. And
oh,
and I'm like, a little bit on, a little bit like, that feels a little better. But I got to walk through a bit of an active part of the jail there where they're like, oh, we got to make sure the doors stay locked so they don't get at you there. And then went into their nice community room there, which was nice. And just seeing some of that hardness on those people there. That room there that we were in, it was just their normal meeting room, gymnasium. That doesn't sound quite right to me, but it was a big common room. And just seeing how much hard energy they have on them. And I thought it was interesting. I got to talk to some of the prison guards, and I get prison guards come to see me sometimes. And usually it's people actually quit being prison guards I get to see more often because they just say there's so much hardness there. And helps them just to start to disassociate from that hardness. But I saw some of the people there, and I remember one guy, he was a pretty intimidating kind of big guy, and he just walked up to my table, put his hands right onto my presentation table, like, so what are you doing here? And I'm like, oh, this is what he says to those people. And I'm like, just keep it together.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be a little bit scary. That's part of his job. And I'm like, all right, let's just talk to this guy. And it was kind of fun, and he kept his energy up, his armor up on himself to make sure he wasn't too vulnerable there, because that's not his venue. But I thought it was really fun just to see the different energies inside of there. So I thought it was just so neat. And then I got to see a lot of people there where they're like, I just wish it felt nicer in here. Yeah. And I'm like, I thought that's where I got to be really fun there, and just actually having people actually start to see some lighter side of being inside of there. And I'm like, I still want to go back there and see some of the inmates in there. I think it would be really fun. Just seeing what if I could actually change it. Although, who was that?
It's an interesting way to have fun, but okay.
Oh, I love seeing people.
I won't go, but you can come back and tell us about how it went.
Yeah. Oh, I was studying this one doctor who was studying inmates, and I can't remember his name, so we'll dub it in later if it pops in later on.
If it pops up, just shout it out.
And what he did is he wanted to see what it would be, how effective he could actually release anxiety inside of a person in jail. Because people in jail are prone to feeling anxious energy because it's an intense environment. And he was actually impressed with himself how well he did to actually help a person to release that anxious energy so they're not on guard all the time. And then he went back and saw the person again the next week and had the living goodness beat out of him. And really? He's like, huh. And he talks to the guy. I was like, well, what went wrong? And he's like, I trusted everybody. And then they beat me up. And he's like, oh, all right. So he sort of hit that realization where it's nice to actually do that healing on there, but in that environment, that wasn't a safe environment to take away his defensiveness in him. So he needed to stay anxious while he was there just to stay safe.
Is that something, that when you deal with clients, do you talk to them about patients, I guess? What do you call them?
I call them clients.
Okay.
For lack of a better term.
I just don't want to be insulting if it's like a patient-client thing.
No.
When you deal with clients, like, do you talk after, like, or outside of the session? You said you talk at the beginning for a little bit or whatever, but like, is there sort of a period of
like a post?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like a post chat about like, okay, well, this is where we got, and this is great, and it's okay to still feel this here, and you might need this, or like, how does that work? Or do people just find it on their own? And
good question. Yeah, you guys got really good questions. And normally, what I do is I allot in a 90-minute session is my most common session to book with me. I usually allot 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on inside you. 25 minutes to get a feel of what's going on and then we do our session. Then I give about 10 minutes on the back end. And I do that to have a person bring their energy back inside their bodies. They don't just collapse out of their chair. And also to have them actually figure out what they discovered about themselves. Because a lot of times we have to talk about what they discovered because they don't actually realize it until they actually say it out loud one more time with their conscious mind a lot much more active with their energy way up. They're like, wow, I don't know how much that was actually affecting me.
You know what I would compare that to is that last 10 minutes, it was rendering.
Yeah, okay.
That's what it like. If you look at audio and video production, that's what it was. Because like during the session, it was like you're clicking, you're doing the work, and then you hit render now, make it happen, and that's when like I would process like, okay, this is what it was, and like because I don't think I said any details during.
No, you kept the details inside, but you said how you were feeling.
Yeah, and then eventually, then I was like, oh, it's interesting that I went there and why, and start to put the thoughts together. So it was very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And on my drive home, I had about a half an hour drive, and like usually I would put on music or something, and it was just like, nope. I kept thinking about it, like.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I usually tell people to take about 2-3 days to really process stuff, so they'll feel very odd for a couple of days. And that very oddness is because you're actually playing all other comparable events that might be relatable, and then you're like, actually, this thinking process worked. Oh, this thinking process works. And then usually I say, even though we do 2 to 3 events in a session, you might have actually resolved about 30, 40 events.
Go through the catalog and pick them all out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like today I felt very confused actually in like what to narrow my focus down, but
I know
it all made sense.
I know I felt a bit when you were talking, you weren't giving me many details, just the emotions.
Yeah.
And as we talked after the fact, if it's okay, I talk about such
absolutely,
stuff. You said I was seeing many events at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And not just one. And I like when people feel just one, but when people feel many, I wish they would state I feel many. And when I hear that, all I'll do is I'll tell them to actually take that timeline of all these events that happened from being 15 to 18 years old or whatever that gap was, and just stack them up vertically.
Okay.
And let go of the details. But just measure them all on top of each other, so you're just way up above there, just staring you down. What's the common thinking process? As you felt that emotion, what is the most common thing you're thinking during all of those things? What's the most relatable, universal truth within them all?
Yeah.
And then you'll be like, oh, wait, so I'm not doing it wrong. That's where it would have been a bit trickier today, is I didn't know you thought you were doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they actually validate it inside you, then you'll get better traction and go, actually, okay. Because this whole time as a teenager year or as a child time frame. And then just be like, okay, I can let this go.
Yeah.
I don't have to feel like that anymore because I was just whatever I needed to do to be the best version of myself. And grant yourself some forgiveness for that part.
Yeah. Oh, it's like I said, it definitely left. I left your office with extra questions that I have for myself.
Yeah.
But I was able to like narrow down the answers to a few of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we enable you to actually feel those answers and test them out. It's not me telling you what to do, because that would be futile.
Yeah.
If telling you what to do would have worked, then you just have someone bark at you all day long there.
Right? Well, I think that I would have to go to a different therapy.
That's right.
Okay. Do people ever fall asleep during their sessions?
Minimally, it does happen.
Okay.
And I usually do my countdown going from 10 to 1.
I'm going to ask funny, light questions now.
No, it's good.
Heads up.
It goes down from 10 to 1 is typically what I do. And most people, they're pretty wired. Anxious people usually aren't that sleepy. But depressed people are sleepier. I don't know why. I just know that. As we go through, usually I'll start asking people some questions. And if they say nothing, and I can tell they're just kind of out.
Yeah.
I kind of grab their foot sometimes or kick their chair just a little bit. And most of the time people don't fall asleep when I start asking them questions.
Okay.
But before I start asking them questions, I'm trying to get the induction. I study people, and usually what I watch closely is I watch for eye flutters on them, because that usually means they're in hypnosis. But if they just, their whole face starts to get
mouth open and drooling.
Yeah, and then I'm like, hey.
I was actually so worried because I was so tired this week that I was so happy that I got a good night's sleep last night.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, man, I'm going to sit in that chair today and I might just really pass out hard right away.
Yeah, and I thought you were going to pass out hard today, as you may or may not have noticed. I don't usually say a person's name during a session unless I think you're falling asleep.
Oh,
because
really?
people actually jump to it, kind of. Shouldn't say it. Like a dog, when they call the dog's name, they jump, their awareness pops back in a little bit. So
maybe.
What is it? Like the bell, the Pavlovian response?
Yeah, when someone hears their name called, their ears prick up just a little bit. So normally that's my go-to, just to spark them back up, which is fine. I want people to be relaxed. But if I think someone's on the verge of sleeping, which you were on the verge of sleeping a bit, I called your name and then your breath came back in you, and then you're alive again.
Stand back into it. Okay.
I was actually talking about this with someone today who's in, she's studying at university to be a therapist. And so I don't know if she's decided specifically which yet, but how do you not go home with other people's
I was just going to ask about.
How do you leave that at work, or how do you not even let it get to you, or does it get to you?
In general, I'm really lucky.
Okay.
In general, I'm really lucky because I don't see people ongoing when they're going through the worst times of their lives. I see people when they're really anxious, but they're past the hard parts, but they just can't mentally process stuff. So when I go through a session, almost everybody, rare exception, everyone feels a lot better by the time they're done. So by the time I leave work, every end of a session, I see how happy people are. People are usually smiling, going, this was fantastic.
Yeah.
I had a person this week going, I'm crying, but I'm not sad. What does it mean? And I'm like, what do you think it means when you're crying and you're not sad? What's left? And they're like, well, I'm just happy, but I'm still crying. Is that normal? And I'm like, you're allowed to cry when you're happy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And she didn't actually realize that was a real thing.
Okay.
So that's where I go. I'm like,
okay.
That's my favorite one I had this week. If I had to pick someone out, they were crying. They were so happy when they left. There were genuine tears going out of them.
Yeah, you leave people in, not that other therapists don't, but you leave people in better shape than you find them.
Well, and with
in a different, maybe in a different way. With
the therapist, and there, I believe you need to provide the details so they know how to help you and how to get you through those hurdles. Whereas, like you said, you don't really need the details. You just want to know how they feel.
Because if you feel good about something that was terrible, doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. That's
fair.
If your first date person dumped you, said, "Yep, you're not my type."
Yeah.
How long is it supposed to bother you for? For the rest of your life, or until you found someone else that's a better fit?
Yeah.
And it depends on the person. I know I have a recall. I remember a person I had where they said their life got wrecked in high school because someone took their girlfriend, and it was one of their close friends. And they were in their 60s, and they said, that wrecked my life. I haven't had a date since then.
Whoa.
I dated this girl like 5 times. She was the best-looking girl in school, way out of my league, and then this person took them over because they were better and cooler than me, and then I just gave up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, you're well, I didn't say. In my head, I said, you're like in your 60s now. And I'm like, maybe there was someone else you might find cute from high school till now. And he just said, well, he has to wait until he feels like he can get some payback on that person before he's eligible to date again.
I guess trauma is trauma. And like you don't know which one is going to affect you that much.
Yeah. And he just had a deep fear of embarrassing himself.
Yeah.
And I know I thought it was kind of funny because when he came out of I have an office way in the back of our building. It's a pretty big building. And came out to the front of the store. He never met my wife yet, but he knew my wife had long black hair. So he happened to see a woman in the store that had long black hair and said, hi, and your husband talked really well about you, but it wasn't her. It was just a random customer. And he was mortified. And I'm like, he was beelining for the door. I'm like, hey, just wait. And I'm like, the person was totally random to me. I've never met before. And I'm like, sorry to bug you. This is my place. He thought you were my wife. Did this hurt your feelings? Because I just wanted to check if it hurt your feelings. He thought you were my wife. And she's like, I'm not your wife. I'm like, I know. He's wrong. Did that hurt your feelings? Like, no, he was mistaken. Like, there we go. So I just told him, like,
Yeah.
you're mistaken.
Yeah.
No need to worry here.
Yeah.
And then I could just see his energy just like, he was just like breathing. He's like, okay, but I want to go now. But that made me feel better. Then he just sort of walked off.
Okay.
No, that's awesome.
Interesting. Well, thanks so much for being here. I wish we'll have you back. Can you come back?
Oh, sure.
That would be
I'd love
awesome.
that.
Okay.
That'd be good fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here and being open and being willing to share what it is you do. I came in knowing nothing about you other than what you did for work, and it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
It's been nice meeting you. It's been a pleasure.
I have a show mug for you. I just didn't grab it earlier, but I'll grab it to you after the show. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to our third session.
Perfect.
And maybe I'll do a little update on how it all went. And,
It's awesome.
But yeah, thank you very much.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Plug your business.
Sure. Oh, yeah. That's a good
your
idea.
camera right there.
That's my camera. So I'm at 2071 Portage Avenue, right across from Assiniboine Park. So you can find us online, or you can just come on down and book us to come see me and my wife. We own a spiritual center there. She's a medium and a top-notch one at that. So
I'll plug. We'll put your business name in the pod script and on YouTube descriptions and everything, just to give you a little promo. And
perfect.
Awesome. Well, nice meeting you.
Thanks so much,
Thanks
guys.
for
Thanks for
being
having me here. This was so fun.
Take care.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Quiet Riot Show. We want to give a big shout out to our sponsors for making this show possible. And of course, thank you, our amazing listeners, for your support. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We're at Quiet Riot Show on all platforms. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can watch full episodes of the podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please rate and review us wherever you're listening. It really helps us grow and reach more listeners like you. We'd also love to hear from you. Have questions, suggestions, or thoughts about the show? Drop us an email at quietriotshow@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Quiet Riot Show.